Good evening, all.
Good evening, Rabbi.
Good evening, all.
Good evening, Rabbi.
Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik once expressed a great conundrum. When an old rabbi walks into a classroom with students who are young enough to be his grandchildren, he enters an old man with a wrinkled face, his eyes reflecting the fatigue and sadness of old age. The rabbi is seated, and seated before him are rows of young, beaming faces with clear eyes radiating the joy of being young. For a moment, the rabbi is gripped with pessimism. With tremors of uncertainty, he asks themselves, can there be a dialogue between an old teacher and young students? Between a rabbi in his summer and the students who are enjoying the spring of their lives? Nonetheless, the rabbi begins teaching his class, and something amazing happens. The door opens up, and a much older man than he enters. It's Rabbi Chaim Brisker, the great scion and trailblazer in the Torah world. He walks into the room. But then suddenly the door opens again. And many more visitors arrive from centuries prior, from the Middle Ages, and others harking back to antiquity. Rabbeinu Tam, Rashi, Rambam, Rabbi Akiva, all of the Torah greats throughout all of Jewish history join in this classroom. And the rabbi introduces the guests to his pupils, and the dialogue commences. And Rabbi Soloveitchik explains, suddenly a symposium of generations comes into existence. Young students debate earlier generations with an air of daring familiarity, and a crescendo of discussion ensues. All speak one language, all pursue one goal, and all are committed to a common vision and operate within the same categories. A Masorah collegiality is achieved, a friendship, a comradeship of old and young, spanning antiquity, the Middle Ages, and modern times. I stand before you today not a particularly old rabbi, but with the same hesitation of the rabbi in this story. The Rochester Jewish community is nearly 200 years old. Our shul nearly 100. Who am I? What can I add? What, as a young rabbi, can I offer? What impact can I make on the grand scheme of the incredible story of Congregation Beth Sholom? And I wondered these questions until the door opened. And I encountered Rabbi Max Schreier from 1951, the fourth rabbi of Congregation Beth Sholom. And when the shul was in its early years, he ambitiously wrote to the congregation, we must expand our present facilities by putting up a new and larger synagogue. We have ambitious goals to reach, and we have great potentialities to actualize. For indeed, Beth Sholom stands at the thresholds of a new and brighter era. And understandably, I was inspired by his enthusiasm. And all of a sudden, the door opens again. And I meet Rabbi Hoshander from 1957, the fifth rabbi of our shul, when he addressed our congregation for his 25th anniversary. And he writes, Beth Sholom and its immediate community is blessed by a potential physical and spiritual unparalleled in any city in the state of New York. And then finally, one last door opens. And I see someone who I never had the honor of knowing, but whose presence still fills the walls of our community. I meet a young Rabbi Shaya Kolumnik from 1979, the seventh rabbi of our congregation. And as he addressed the shul for its 50th anniversary, he writes, Beth Sholom stands as a bastion of our faith, and a congregation of men and women who are prepared to serve our Creator and to answer the needs of our community. And he prophetically expresses, Now we begin a new chapter in Beth Sholom's book of life. Let us take to heart the great message of the past. Today, as in former years, we can, with courage born of the faith, attain new, undreamt of heights of achievement. And after having these interactions, I realize that although perhaps I am young, I speak the same language as my incredible predecessors. They each had a vision and a dream for our special Beth Sholom, and they each had lofty expectations for the special community. And this vision and dream is one that I share as well. Today, we recognize and embrace the past. All of the great rabbis who have come before us, and of course their Rebbitzins. Most notably Rebbitzin Nechi, who we lost just a few weeks ago. And in recognition of the past, we commit ourselves to building our future. On your tables, you will find a year-in review guide. In it, we reflect on our marvelous accomplishments over this last year, but this evening I am here to tell you that this is just the beginning of where we are headed. In our Parsha, this upcoming Shabbos in Parshas Beha'aloscha, the Torah stresses for us a well-known commandment, Daber el Haron, v'amarta elav beha'aloscha es haneros. God tells Moshe Rabbeinu that you must tell your brother Aaron, speak to him, to raise up the lights of the menorah, ya'iru shiva haneros, the 7 branches of the menorah in this picture must be illuminated by your brother Aaron. And the Torah feels the need to express the nature of its composition. V'zeh ma'aseh hamenorah mikshah zahav. This is how the menorah was made. It was a solid piece. Ad yorecha ad pircha mikshahi. It was of one piece of gold, solid from base until the top. And this evening, I am compelled to ask 3 questions. Why is the fact that the menorah was made of one piece of gold fundamental to its composition? Number 2, it seems obvious that the menorah was intended to bring light into the Mishkan, light into the world, but if so, why have 7 branches with small wicks instead of a single powerful torch? And number 3, why has the menorah been such an important symbol for the Jewish people for millennia? That it's the only vessel of the Beis HaMikdash that continues to be remembered in our homes to this day. It is the emblem of the modern state of Israel. Why is the menorah so significant to us? And to answer these questions, I share with you a famous medrash brought by Rashi. Lama nismecha parashas hamenorah leparashas hanasiim. Why do we read about the menorah right after just yesterday we read about the Nasiim, the dedication ceremony of all of the princes as they brought sacrifices in the temple? The Medrash tells us, Levi kishera Aharon chanukas hanasiim. When Aaron, the great high priest, he saw the sacrifices that were being offered, he immediately chalsha azdaito. He became weakened because he understood that he was not the head of any tribe and he was not going to have the honor of offering sacrifices to the Almighty. But Amar Lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God says to Aharon, Chayecha shecha gedola mishalahem. Your life is greater than theirs. Because you will be given the honor of lighting the menorah for generations. What was so special about this glorified Shabbos lamp that Aaron should all of a sudden feel so good that he had the honor of being the lighter of it? The answer is clear that it must be that there is something unique about it, but what is the nature of its uniqueness? The Sforno, a 16th century Italian commentator, explains that the uniqueness of the menorah may be found in the fact that it is indeed made of one piece of gold. He says that the singular piece of the menorah alludes to how we as one people all must together strive to attain a relationship with the Almighty. The key words being that we must do this as one. The menorah is the symbol of the Jewish people because it represents unity. We must be united as a people to serve God and to do good for the world around us. But quite frankly, it's so much more than that. The menorah is not just about unity, but it actually represents the formula by which it is attained. Judaism preaches unity, but we've never believed in uniformity. The menorah is the perfect symbol of this because we come to understand that there is not just one single branch or flame, but rather there are 7 that all lead to a single base and that are all made of one piece of gold. When we dig deeper, we come to understand that the 7 branches of the menorah represent the 70 faces of the Torah. That there are multiple pathways and portals by which one can serve the Almighty, and in essence, ultimately we realize that the lesson of the menorah is that each individual light matters. We we're required to enable and empower everyone to stand as independent sources of illumination, and in so doing, the collective light of all 7 branches will be able to illuminate the world. And this is why the menorah is the lasting symbol of the Beis HaMikdash in our homes. And this is why it is the emblem of the modern state of Israel, because it represents the fundamental requirement of being a united Jewish people. And it demonstrates that we attain that unity by appreciating the contribution and potential of every single one of its branches. Our rabbis tell us that when it comes to the menorah, when it comes to the holiday of Hanukkah, there is a concept of ner ish ubeito, that every house must have its own menorah, and every house has the power, ability, and necessity to illuminate. And this house, our Beit Sholom, is the source of illumination for our entire community. Because we represent what the menorah is all about. There are so many people in this room. There are so many different branches. But we all come together under one roof because Beth Sholom is the great unifying force of our community. Everyone is welcome, everyone is accepted, everyone is special and unique and needed, because if one light goes out or is absent, the glow is just not as strong. This is our bayit. This is our home. And for nearly 100 years, we have been the source of light for the Rochester community, and with the help of the Almighty, we will continue to illuminate for years and for decades to come. A few months ago, I was approached by a few of the very special leaders of our shul, and I was told that we had exciting ambitions for how much we were going to raise for our installation dinner. It would be a number higher than we have ever achieved before in a single sitting. We were going to raise $150,000. I said that's not enough. If we want to keep illuminating, our electric bill is going to be much higher. So I said we need to raise more. And we set out to raise $540,000, a number that still is staggering and unbelievable. But we ran into a singular problem. We kept sharing the vision of the potential future of our congregation with significant donors and members throughout, and people kept wanting to give more. So this evening, I'm excited to share with you that although our campaign set out to raise $540,000, as of this evening, we have received commitments that total over $1 million to our congregation. Now, what in the world are we going to do with all this money? I want to share with you something that I anticipate over the next few months, in tandem, of course, with our current and next president and board, will be a plan that will bring our shul into the future. 3 specific categories that we must be concerned about. One is updating our current facility. We understand that we have a magnificent building here in Congregation Beth Sholom, but there is so much more that we can be, and the first phase of our plan is to begin to dream of what updating the sanctuary in various parts of our building might look like. The second phase is understanding that around a decade ago, it was determined that we as a shul should have an endowment fund so that we are never concerned about where the money is going to come from, and we must reach the goal of the endowment to raise it to $1 million. And the final phase is one that I am most excited about. It's about not just our current community, but about growing it. How do we expand our family? And it is my hope and prayer and goal that over the coming weeks and months we will be launching a new initiative to bring 50 new families here to Rochester and our shul, because as we begin to dream of our future, we also have to try and anticipate that our shul will become so attractive, so incredible, that people will be knocking down our door trying to move here to Rochester. Ten months ago, I expressed the beauty of the different elements of our shul. Our shul has different circles, different passions, different branches, as it were. Torah, Tefillah, Chesed and community, Israel and youth. These circles are at the core of what we do. These 5 circles are the vehicle that we as a shul illuminate to the community, and it's these 5 circles that I believe provide the space for everyone in this room to give us the ability to drive us into the future. There are so many people who have made the last year so special, our first year in Rochester. And at the risk of naming names and leaving anyone out, I offer a general thank you to each and every one of you for being here this evening, for making our first year here so special, and that God willing we should continue to congregate and be together for years to come. But there is one thank you that I do have to offer. It's to my Rebbitzin, Rina. It is the pillar of everything that we do. I can never do any of this without you. You hold down the fort, you take care of our kids, you support me day in and day out, and there is nothing that this congregation will ever accomplish that will not be due to all that you do for me and our family. Thank you. To conclude, I offer one final call to action. I've shared a lot for the last few minutes, but I can't do any of this great vision alone, and indeed, we have not been alone over the course of this past year. There are so many who work tirelessly to make our shul the special place that it is, but I encourage every single one of you, those of you who are already involved and those who have dreamt of getting a call from me or from Keith or John Sadek to do something for our shul, because to be involved in our shul is truly to be involved not just in the future of the Rochester Jewish community, but in the future of the Jewish people. And I urge everyone in this room to be involved in some way, shape, or form to help shape and mold the future of our Rochester Jewish community. To quote Rabbi Schreier once again, we have ambitious goals to reach. We have great potentialities to actualize, for indeed, Beth Sholom stands at the threshold of a new and brighter era. As we embrace the past, we build our future. And I have no doubts that with your help, we will continue to illuminate from every branch and circle in this house in our special Beth Sholom community for years to come. Thank you.